Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your hosts, Mike
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic. It's almost Formula One in Las Vegas.
I know, the insufferable idiots are whining online.
You realize we're going to have to listen to this for years to come, right?
I saw somebody's comment. Last year, everything was torn up for 6 months before the race. It was, because they had to repave the entire strip area. It's the end of September right now. Nothing is torn up, except for there's that lane closed in front of the Bellagio.
They're starting to build that bridge near Ellis Island.
Okay, so they've started two things, and it's 8 weeks until the race.
Yeah, it's almost here.
So why are we complaining that it's going to be the same as last year and everything's going to be torn up for 6 months? Because we don't have a brain to think with, that's why.
Sorry, we don't talk politics, but it's like the people saying that Trump is going to be a fascist dictator who takes away everyone's rights.
What about anything that's going on is telling you that? Nothing. The same as Formula One complainers.
Yeah.
You can't even with them.
Yeah, they have a right to feel this way, I feel, because Formula One, in my opinion, really messed up last year. First of all, they treated Las Vegas like it was one of the richest cities in the world and tried to charge prices that you would charge to the richest cities in the world.
It's not
for
Monaco
tickets.
People.
But we don't have that kind of money here.
Certainly not the people who live here.
And then without thinking it through, all they thought about was they wanted that cool view of the strip at night with the cars racing and the sphere, right? Those are what they wanted in their race, right? And then then they go, oh my God, there are restaurants that have balconies that look out over the race. So people will be able to see the race for free. So now we're going to make it $50,000 to any restaurant that's overlooking there. And they're going to have to pay it. Come on now. That's not flying around here.
It didn't really.
The country that we live in has laws that say you can't do that to people. Right. So they tried it. And then they backed down really hard. They also backed down on the overall pricing. Even the casinos, it was more expensive, but it still wasn't triple what it was.
Some people a few weeks back posting that they were trying to stay during F1 and at the Bellagio, and the prices were the exact same as any other weekend in November.
They're not stupid this year. And last year they were stupid. So a lot of people are mad at them from last year. But why is it that when people know that something is here to stay, there's a contract, it's been signed.
Right.
I think they have to be here for 3 years, right?
Or not. But
yeah,
definitely
but they were going to go
years.
to 10, but minimum of 3. So we've got them for at least one more year. Why are we trying to get rid of them? If they get an extension, they were getting one, whether we liked it or not.
And the idiots who are like, why don't we take this race and move it out into the desert? Have you ever watched an F1 race? Have you ever seen that they're always through the city areas?
There are road tracks, but still, they're road tracks, and they go through nature areas and places where there's animals running around. It's not
NASCAR.
Desert. And it's not NASCAR.
They should have taken Formula One out, and they should have put it in the 13-mile loop out at Red Rock.
Yeah. How many miles is a F1 race?
I know that the loop is 13 miles. Wouldn't they have to do less laps if the track was longer?
Yeah. That's what I was trying to figure out.
It's got turns. Some of them are hairpin. It's got hills and beautiful scenery.
And there's even ways to extend. The shortest route is 13 miles.
And the people would have to be in hovercrafts to spend.
The tortoises are everywhere.
Right.
Knew what it was getting into when it signed up for this. And I think, here's my thing. Either all of this stuff was already communicated to the community members, or it wasn't. Those are the only two possibilities, right?
Yeah.
The city's saying they communicated all this to the people, but the people are saying they didn't.
That's because people didn't listen.
But when it comes down to it, let's say that the people are right and they weren't told. It's not F1's fault. It's the city's fault. So why is everybody mad at F1? All they did was do their contracted job. And the stupid city, if they failed to tell people, this city sends police officers to the aqueduct areas and the tunnels that run water to help the homeless get the hell out of there when there's going to be rain.
You know what was particularly annoying last year? The F1 drivers bitching about how they didn't want to come to Las Vegas and how it was going to be so shitty. You want to know what? After the race, even that snobby jackass I don't remember his name.
Verstappen.
Even that snobby jackass, he was like, this track was great.
They had a good time.
So thankfully, we shouldn't have to listen to any of that bitching and moaning this year.
Yeah, but I don't understand the people.
I scroll past.
So why continually bang your head against the wall?
So that article that I mentioned that I was reading earlier?
Yes.
They're getting ready for the F1 race this weekend in Singapore. And they were doing a practice run. And a giant lizard got onto the track.
One of the big monitor lizards.
That's what it looked like. It was lizard running with the circular feet.
When you originally told me about it, I said it might be an iguana. But then when you told me it was Singapore, it's definitely a monitor.
It was so cool.
Overrun
Huge.
with monitor lizards.
I think it was like Doug-sized.
You know how you always say where your dad lives that you can encounter bears and various types of wildlife out there, right?
Mooses.
Some are. Some will eat people.
Like
Most are afraid of people.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just like encountering a bear.
When I was in college, my friends and I wanted one of those giant roaring salamanders because they don't have any teeth. And they're like the size of a whole person. But then we realized we'd have to have an entire swimming pool for it to live in. And we didn't have one of those because we were broke college idiots.
Yeah, that wouldn't work.
Mm.
So speaking of racing and things that don't meet expectations, people, we love the monster trucks. Ever since I took Torya for a surprise to the monster trucks,
Monster Jam.
Yes,
Monster
we have
trucks.
not missed one since. We went that year, we went the next year, then we went on the pandemic year, and then we went the first year we were here. Now we've gone the second year that we're here, and next year we'll go again.
If it comes here again.
But there was Hot Wheels
monster
trucks.
Glow.
All right, I look at it, and I remember thinking to myself, looks childish.
We have to start this conversation by saying we got the same quality of seats that we got for Monster Jam, and I paid more money for the Hot Wheels one.
That was even funny because we actually didn't get the seats we paid for. We had one row back, and I'm glad we did considering who was sitting next to us.
Yeah.
So we get there, and like originally she sends me this link. I want to rewind a little bit. And I look at it, I'm like, yeah, my first thought was looks a little childish, but you know what? It's monster trucks, man. It's got to be cool.
We like that monster truck power.
Right. So we get the tickets, and it's at the Orleans Arena in the Orleans. That's where the Mr. Olympia used to be. They used to have a shuttle bus going between there and the convention center because they'd have the expo at the convention center. And that's how I knew about the Orleans and the arena. And so I'm like, oh, this is going to be cool. Go here. And I'm expecting it to be this pretty large size place. And we walk inside and I'm like, what the freaking hell?
It was smaller than a minor league hockey arena.
It was smaller than the MGM Grand.
And it was built as a hockey arena. By the way, I looked it up.
Well, it makes sense because that's what that scoreboard was.
Yeah.
So then
nothing else made sense.
So then like the trucks come out and there's just all these cars lined up. And that's literally all they do is run at these cars, hit them, jump in the air, and then land on them. Like, did I just describe the whole show?
You did, except for the worst possible part, which we will get to in a second. But the biggest problem wasn't that these monster trucks were jumping over these cars repeatedly. I would have been fine with that. Had they moved?
Yeah, they were quite slow.
They would
driving.
And then one would jump over the cars, and then it would take 5 minutes for it to park somewhere else. And then the other one would go and take its 5 minutes to park somewhere else. Think back to
the majority
Monster
of our time
Jam.
was spent waiting for people to go.
Think back to when we went to Monster Jam. You know how they do at the bigger Monster Jam places, like when we saw it at Angel Stadium and Crypto Arena?
Yeah.
They had a little bit more room, and they did that race, 2 versus 2.
Yes.
As the race finished, the next 2 cars were pulling out so that those ones could get the hell out of the way and keep the friggin' show moving.
Yeah, they just kept going. And they didn't do that well at all. Like, at all. And they talked. This is aimed at kids, man. And they really did a good job of having that guy go around with the camera guy and record the different kids. But after a while, that was getting annoying because he didn't have good questions to ask them.
And all they would do is he'd go up to them, and then this herd of 8-year-olds, and we all know how professional 8-year-olds are capable of being, would read out the score.
Yeah.
But it would take them like 9 minutes to get them the score, make sure that the whole group remembered it, and then tell them how they had to yell as loud as they could. And then you got 8,000 shrieky little 8-year-old voices yelling into the microphone, piercing everyone else's eardrums.
And they would ask him questions like, do you guys think that Shohei Ohtani will become the first 60-60 player in history? Or do you think that's just too impossible of a goal for any human being to seek?
And
then the 8-year-old goes,
yeah.
Well, they don't know what you just asked them. Right. They're just going to say whatever comes to mind. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. You tell me. You don't even know what they asked. It's stupid. Right. And then
we're about to talk. Yeah. So they announced, what was it called? What was it called? Like Truckosaurus or something like that?
It was like, just, if you guys ever follow Monster Jam, this is like the grave digger of the Hot Wheels place.
No, knockoff grave digger was Gravedigger. This was Truckosaurus.
But he was like their grave digger.
They were so...
everybody loved that guy.
All right, so Truckosaurus wheels out. And the man in the neon suit that we were just making fun of a moment ago was walking faster than Truckosaurus was entering.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, again at the speed of snail, Truckosaurus starts to emerge from its tank thing. And it's just this like dumbass dinosaur head badly attached to a tank that honestly I thought it was going to topple at least once or twice. And it had these big old claw hands.
Yeah.
And then Truckosaurus rolled up to some of the smashed cars. And then Truckosaurus proceeded to pick up one and bite it 135,000 times.
And break it into small pieces and spit it down onto the ground. Yeah.
And then shake it a little.
And shake it a little bit, like to make it be like roar.
And then it
as equally as slowly as it entered.
A small burst of flame came out of its nostrils.
Yes, very small.
Like inches. It was safety-friendly flame.
Outside the container park. Much scarier flame.
Oh my God, can you imagine watching that thing rip up a car? I bet you it would actually rip the car. This thing didn't. It was so... Something called Truckosaurus. I was like... I watched it pick up the car and then it chomped it. And I was like, well, that was dumb. And then I watched it pick up the car again and I was like, it's going to rip this sumbitch car in half. No, and it was like, baby chomp. Baby chomp.
I can't stand it, but
kept baby chomping until everybody was in tears.
Pretty much.
Then you were like, this is boring.
I can't take any more of this.
Let's go get
a snack. And then I'm like, yeah, we need a drink. So you're like, yeah, let's go. And then we're walking and we're looking at the line, like how long it is. And I think we just assessed in our head that there's probably 30 more minutes of this show left.
All Truckosaurus.
They managed to get through one event with the trucks.
I think it was actually coming.
And their trucks were not enough.
Like they were big and they roared, but it was a glow party. We missed this part. You said it in the title. Glow party means they turned the lights way down and just had LED strip lighting on really stupid spots on all of the cars.
Party. Yeah.
It was so... You said it was childlike when you saw the page. Okay, whatever. I'll take your word for it. I agree. Love monster trucks.
Yeah, that's what we both said.
But the children weren't even having a good time.
No, they were bored.
Bored.
There were two little boys right in front of us to our left. They would have been next to us, but thank God there was something, the two chairs broken. And so it put us a row back. And I'm glad because... I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I'm a big dude. And this lady was a big woman.
She
had that thing with the man spreading. And I hate when people do that.
Would have been really uncomfortable the whole time.
Yeah, we were all alone.
Yeah, it worked out.
But it was just, it was bogus. And that's the only thing I can call it. And so then we finally looked at each other and, you know what? There's probably about 30 minutes left in this damn show. It's going to take us 20 to get a drink. Let's just leave. Yeah. And we did. And then we went to a Jack in the Box where I've never seen this before either. Can you guys explain to me why, guys, did the Jack in the Box drive-through guy, what time was it? It was like 11 o'clock, 15.
Started the show thing we were going to. So you said they went on at 9:30.
Right.
So it was no later
than 9 o'clock. They ended up not starting, but yeah, it had to be like around 9 o'clock that we were pulling into the Jack in the Box. And we were looking for a drink, really, but then I got egg rolls or something. And we pull up to the window and he like takes the money and he's, okay, you're going to have to wait for the food. Please back up. And he made me back up away from the window.
Yeah.
And Torya thinks that he's afraid of someone with a gun trying to rob him. You can't really stop that. I could be ordering, and as I'm ordering, pull the gun out. So I'm not sure that's the answer. But it's as reasonable an answer as I could come up with. So why not?
Because it's not like the food came out of somewhere else and they needed to get to the window easier. When the food was ready, he gestured us forward to grab our food and beverages.
It was really weird.
Odd.
It was the weirdest thing ever.
So if you have an idea,
let us know.
ASAP.
Yeah, we would love to know.
And also never go to Hot Wheels Monster Truck Glow Party unless you want to cry out of boredom.
And the thing is, I was sitting here, I was about to say maybe if you had younger kids. And then I thought,
no,
we already made the point that the questions they ask, nobody can understand, let alone younger kids.
You'd have to have a kid.
So who's going to enjoy this?
You'd have to have a kid with one of those obsessive level attention spans, which kids I'm talking about. Anyway, you'd have to have one of those kids who was really into Truckosaurus or monster trucks in general. They would enjoy it. That's it.
And that's crazy because you're basically saying only a die-hard, never going to leave you fan is who's going to enjoy that.
You know what else is funny? You know how in Monster Jam there's Megalodon? No, it's not Megalodon. Megalodon was the Hot Wheels one.
Yes.
What's the one called from Monster Jam?
I don't remember.
Anyway, they have them do that like giant shark tooth arm thing that one of the hockey teams does.
Yeah.
And they're the Hot Wheels equivalent.
Yes. But ridiculous. I mean, the entire problem was the premise was one thing and the delivery was something entirely different.
It was just such trash.
And one thing you noticed, because you pointed it out, the production was better at Monster Jam because they had things going on time. It's like how we talked about when we were young and how they just switched stages real fast. For whatever reason, the monster truck people were trained to just next, and they would just, the next race would go. There wasn't a lot of downtime. The only downtime there was, oh, you're the winner of the whatever thing we just did.
The dump truck thing was fixing the course.
Yeah.
There was nothing that needed to be fixed in this one. They just drove on the concrete of the arena.
And then the funny part to me was that they weren't prepared. Like, it took maybe 2 minutes to set up for motocross at Monster Jam. But yet that one took 15 minutes.
Right.
It was just too much sitting around and waiting. Orleans Arena, weird place. Very weird place. But I like the Orleans Hotel. Not gonna lie. I think it was a nice place.
Megalodon is the Monster Jam.
Is it? Okay. I didn't think the other place had a Megalodon.
It has a big fish.
Big fish. But,
anyway,
but
it was
Orleans,
awful.
I liked Orleans. It was okay. It was cool.
Yeah, it had a mediocre selection of things to eat.
Its food court sucked nuts.
Subway and Sparrow and what the place?
There was another place and I can't think of what it was.
Fuddruckers. Fuddruckers. And somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But decent hotel.
Didn't smell bad.
Weird use of space.
Yeah.
It looks like it could use a remodel.
I think if they did a paint job on the outside, it would look really nice.
It's quite charming on the inside, though.
And it was very New Orleans themed.
I wouldn't object to going to an event at that place. And parking was easy.
Yeah.
And it was busy.
Yeah.
And where did we go? It was a Saturday afternoon, right? Early.
It started
evening.
at 7.
Yeah. It was like so Saturday evening. Okay. That's interesting. I don't know, guys. That's what's happening in Vegas.
Apparently.
And around. That's all I got to say about that.
Good night, F1 Lizard.
Hasta la bye-bye, F1 Lizard.
Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.